The night before, I had gone out with a friend of mine and a couple of her friends. So it was me and three girls. Went to the movies and I went home, went to sleep, and I usually start at 10 to, I was doing 10 to 6 at the time at the 46th precinct. And she calls me about 8:30 in the morning, the same, my friend who I went to the movies with the night before. And she says, "Are you up?" I'm like, "Now I am." She said, "You have to get to work. A plane just crashed into the World Trade Center." So, I don't know, I was half asleep. I don't know if I believed her. She might have been playing around. But she sounded serious. So I actually did get up. I put on the news and I saw what she was talking about. And I immediately got dressed and rushed out of the house, got in my car, and drove to the 46th precinct in the Bronx, which is usually about a 20-minute drive. I might have did it in 10, 15 minutes. When I got to the precinct, my coworkers were there, and they had just gotten there themselves, and they told me to hurry up, go change and grab a radio, because we're gonna head out, we're gonna go down to the site. So I changed really quick, like in 30 seconds. I ran down the steps, grabbed the radio. We all jumped in the van, and we were about to leave. It was 5 or 6 of us in the van. I don't recall how many, and a sergeant. And we were about to leave and go down to the site. And the tour commander, the platoon commander, came out, and he immediately he came out to the street and stopped us. That's right before we left. He stopped us, and he told us to stand by. So we had to stand by. That was our orders, and we actually stood in the van for hours as this whole thing unfolded. Pretty much, we heard all the calls for help on the radio, and it was tough to sit in the van and not be able to go. And we all wanted to go. I remember we were all pissed at the lieutenant and pissed at the sergeant because we were just telling him, "Let's just go. He's not going to physically stand in front of us. Let's just go." They wanted us to stand by because they didn't know if there was going to be another attack anywhere else in the precinct. If everyone went to one site and something else happened somewhere else, they're not going to have the personnel to deploy in the second site. So I understand now, in retrospect, why they didn't want us to go. But at that moment, it was very frustrating to hear all the calls for help on the radio, to know what was going on down there, and not be able to do anything. It was very frustrating for me and my team. But I eventually did get down there to the site. I went down there on the following Tuesday, which was a week after September 11th. And I remember it was still dark when we got there, me and my team. And we were ready to work. We were ready to go. And when we first got there, it was a week later, and I remember seeing the pile of debris, and it was maybe 10, 11 stories high of debris, and it was still smoldering. It was still burning, and I remember the smell of that, and I couldn't believe that something could be burning for about a week. It was very disturbing. That we worked that day, and I worked 14 days after that, 14 or 15 days at the site. But that first day was the one that really struck me and that I remember the most. We actually were assigned a security post on the perimeter of the site, of the ground zero. But when we got relieved for meal, me and my partner, we actually went to ground zero, to the site itself, to where debris is. And we actually started helping out with the digging and stuff like that. And I remember a bunch of firemen and ESU cops, not too far from me, maybe 50 feet from me, where building 4 was at the time. They actually found the body there, and everything stopped at the site. All the cranes, everything stopped, and everybody prayed, and there was a moment of silence, and the priest came out, and it was very moving. So I'll always remember that. Those first couple of months after, we all worked a lot of hours, all the police officers and firemen, I'm sure EMS, everybody. We worked a lot of hours, and it was weird because it felt surreal. It was like I was in a fog, like things were happening. I know it was real, but it was like it didn't feel real. and it was a strange time because it was mixed emotions. You know, I was angry, I was worried, I was scared. I knew that what I knew as normal, what everyone knew as normal, especially in New York City, would never be normal again, and I knew that was going to change. You know, from that day on, I knew life was going to be different. I looked at these people that were from, you know, Tennessee, Alabama, Arizona, people from all over the country were there. The Red Cross was there, Salvation Army, a whole bunch of volunteers, and they were serving us, and they were getting us hot chocolate and asking us if we want something to eat, and there was just so many people taking care of us and showing the best of humanity, and it just cheered me up, and I just looked at them and I'm home. I'm in my city where I live. These people are from elsewhere, and they're up early in the morning. They're not grumpy, and they're happy to be here to help us. So who am I to be, you know, who am I to be grumpy about this day? So it totally changed my outlook on being down there. That incident, the whole 9/11, the whole incident, terrorist attack, showed the worst in humanity and also showed the best in humanity at the same time.